In today's programme, David Green has come along to tell us all about Waterside Shopping Centre near Northport. Good morning, David.
Good morning. Well, I visited Waterside last week, and I think it has something for everyone, and I would recommend it for a day out. It's taken 3 years to build, and finally opened 3 weeks ago, 2 months later than planned. Firstly, getting there. There are organised coach trips from most towns in the area, but they leave early and come home very late. So I drove. There are 12,000 free parking spaces, so parking is no problem. You can also get there by train, but the station is 15 minutes from Waterside by bus, and the buses are really crowded, so you sometimes have a long wait.
And what about opening times?
Well, one thing to remember is that the shops don't open till 10 in the morning, except on Saturday when they open at 9. So don't get there too early on a weekday. They close at 8 o'clock every day, except Friday, when they're open until 9 p.m.
Can you tell us some more about the facilities at the shopping centre?
Yes, it's arranged on 3 levels. You'll find all your favourites here. In fact, if you want to buy a pair of shoes, there are 15 different shops to choose from on levels 1 and 2. When you run out of money, there are 7 different banks. But collect your money before you get to the 3rd level, as there aren't any banks up there. On that level, however, there are several restaurants, as well as a cinema with 7 screens. And don't get lost like I did. Go to the information desk on the 1st level and get a map.
What else can you do at Waterside?
Before you go back to your car or the bus, and in fact it might be better to do this before you go shopping and have too much to carry, go and see the lake. Take a walk or have a go at fishing, sailing or windsurfing if you have time. Or you can rest your tired feet and watch the birds and ducks, but you are asked not to feed them.
Was there anything you didn't like about the shopping centre?
Oh, well, although I had a good day, I would complain about one thing. But not the usual thing. The service in the shops was good, and I had an excellent lunch in a cafe. No, the silly thing was that everywhere was quite clean, but people were dropping their sweet papers and empty drink cans on the ground, because there wasn't anywhere else to throw them. Apart from that, I would recommend it.
And so that's all for today's programme.
And today I'm talking to Angela Morgan. Angela, what made you decide to fly around the world in a helicopter?
People often ask me why I decided to do it, but I'm surprised they don't ask, why did you wait so long? Because I'm 57 now. I'm sorry I didn't do it years ago, because it was such a wonderful experience. But the main purpose for going was to collect £500,000 for sick children by getting different companies to pay us money for each kilometre that we flew.
And now everyone calls you the flying grandmother.
Yes, the thing about growing older is that you don't feel any different inside, so you have to do as much as you can while you can. I'm healthy, and my own children are grown up, so I was free to go.
And what about preparing for the trip?
Well, it took 5 months to plan. I was going to go with my husband, but he couldn't take time off work. Instead, I made the trip with my flying teacher, who became a great friend while she was teaching me to fly 3 years ago. I passed my flying test after 2 weeks, found it quite easy.
And what was the trip like?
It was really exciting flying over so many different countries. The only thing was that we weren't able to spend much time sightseeing because we only stopped to get water and to camp. We took very little with us, but we did have tents and cooking things to use at night. We had to spend 2 days in Thailand because of an engine problem, but that was the longest we spent anywhere. Fortunately, nothing else went wrong, so we just kept on going after that.
What did you enjoy most about the trip?
The most wonderful thing about flying was seeing the differences in the countryside as we flew across 26 countries in 97 days. We flew over oceans and close to mountains. Sometimes it was quite frightening, but we didn't travel when it was dark. We spent several nights camping in the desert, and the sky was just full of stars. I made a video of the trip. You'll see it in a minute.
Was there anything that you missed while you were away?
Well, to my surprise, I didn't miss going to work or going out to restaurants or films. The most difficult thing was sitting still all the time. I normally play tennis and swim several times a week, so I started to feel very unfit. I missed hot water and proper showers sometimes too, but not as much as I thought I would.
Britta, you're English, but you live in Berlin. Have you lived here for a long time?
Well, I was born in England, but I've lived in Germany for the past 20 years. I arrived in Berlin about 4 years ago. Before that, I lived in Bonn for 6 years. But I work as a journalist, and when the newspaper moved to Berlin, I moved with them.
Were you pleased to come to Berlin?
Yes, I was. I was looking forward to being in a big city like Berlin. Bonn was quite a lot smaller, so I love the busy atmosphere and all the cultural entertainments here, museums, theatres and so on. The only thing I don't like is the traffic. It's a bit noisy in the mornings. It wakes me up about 6:30, but most days I have to get up early anyway.
Where do you live in Berlin?
I have a flat in the old part of the city. It's right in the centre, and it's not too expensive. It costs me about £500 a month. My street is becoming very popular. There are lots of new art galleries and small cafes and friendly restaurants everywhere. Eating out in Berlin is fun and it's cheap, so it's something I do quite often.
How do you find transport in Berlin?
Well, the transport system here is very good. So I have a tram and bus ticket. But in fact, most of the time I cycle. Travel here is much cheaper than in other countries I know. Perhaps that's why people don't walk very much.
What do you like to do in Berlin at the weekends?
Well, I like art, so sometimes I go to one of the galleries. I have a nephew called Philippe. He's only 3, but he likes coming with me. He likes the cafe best, I think. And it's a change from going to the park. That's something he does very often. He usually comes out with me while his parents go shopping.
Do you miss your friends and family in England?
I don't really miss England. Most of my friends are here. I don't see much of my work colleagues socially, but I've got some very good friends who live in the same street as me. I enjoy meeting people, and I find Berlin is a very friendly city.
Thank you for talking to us, Britta.